What's up, everybody? It's Frederick Douglass Bussey back with you on a Friday live, another whiteboard session. And so today we're going to talk about 10 hidden reasons why you may be struggling to hit your goals in your business and what you can do about it, how you can tap into mental shifts to be able to crush your goals more quickly. Let's get into it. My name is Frederick Douglass Bussey. I am the founder of Icon Status, a coaching and consulting agency. We work with entrepreneurs to turn their sandcastles into skyscrapers. And one of the most frustrating things that entrepreneurs will come up against is when they are setting a goal or a target and they can't hit it. And there are many different reasons why this may happen. Today, we're just going to talk about 10 of them. I've done a course and a challenge that talks about how you can crush your goals. And we have an aspect of our business frameworks where we talk about how to help entrepreneurs build momentum in their business. And one of those pillars talks about leverage. And in leverage, we talk about target practice, which is one of the courses that we teach, which talks about how you can get better at hitting your target. So let's think about a target in this way, right? So, and this here is the off-target bullseye, right? So this is your bullseye. Now, what we typically want to do is we want to aim at this thing and we want to be able to hit it, but there are barriers that kind of keep us from being able to hit that. And these barriers come from very different places. We're going to talk about 10 of those today, right? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I promise the more I get on this board, the better I'm going to get at actually creating content. But here we go. One of the reasons is that the goal is too small, right? And one of the reasons why we talk about that is because the way that our brains work is that we often, when we tie a goal to someplace in the past, or we often think of it as too small. So a lot of times when you say, well, what can I do? What is realistic to be able to hit this thing? Well, what we're really doing is we're saying, I need to make it small enough so it can be manageable. But in reality, we are motivated by things that are bigger, right? So it actually requires us to be bigger and to create more of an in and of ourselves to be able to hit that target. So if the goal is too small, you're actually not motivated to hit it because it already seems realistic. So is it really worth the effort? And if it's not worth the effort, why go through it? Why execute on the things you need to be able to do to knock that out, right? So if the goal is too small, that can be an impediment to hitting your target. Number two, if you're not clear on your why, right? And so why am I hitting this target? Oftentimes we set goals that are arbitrary. So we're saying this is what sound like it would be nice to be able to hit this goal. Or maybe this is what our competitors are doing, or what other people in our space are doing. Or maybe even you have a personal motivation and just feels like, I want to be able to say that I hit this. Now, but if there's not tied to a clear enough reason, or the reason is not big enough, in other words, if it's not meaningful enough for you, then it is going to be a struggle for you to be able to hit that. And so you need to be clear on why you want to hit your target and why you want to hit your goals. Number three is because, and this is something that's really hidden, right? It will make you what I'm not, right? So this is a psychological reason. And what I mean by say it'll make me something that I'm not, people often deal with inadequacies. They deal with struggles that they have from a personal basis. This is one of the hidden things that we don't talk about in business enough. People think of it as business is never personal, but as I often indicate, what is more personal in business? Because it's you, especially if it's your business, what's more personal than your business? You created it to be able to accomplish certain things. One of the things that we think we accomplish is that it makes us something that we are not. So people say, I want to be a millionaire, or I want to be a billionaire. I want to be successful, quote unquote. And so by doing these things, you think it will make you something that you're not. And what happens is because that's not actually the case. As we're moving towards that, as we start hitting these milestones and things that of that nature, it actually starts to erode our confidence. We actually start to believe in it less, and it starts to matter less and less to us as we start to realize this thing really isn't making me different. Right? I'm making more money, but I'm not a different person. I'm more successful, quote unquote, but I'm not better. And so when you've done that in the past, it will restrict you of being able to hit your target in the future, because you don't understand, because you're starting to realize that these goals are arbitrary, and they can be the target can be fictional in many cases, because it's not making you more of something that you're not. Here's one that people think all the time is necessary to hit their goal, right? So people think if I lack discipline, I need to be more disciplined to hit my goals, right? But actually, let me erase that and put a different word here, because they'll make it more clear. We have the wrong focus, so we don't focus on habits versus discipline, right? So when we focus on discipline, we think that we are basically beating ourselves into submission. I'm saying I have to be able to do this. I got to work harder. I got to be strip away and sacrifice more things. And it's not that you sacrificing things is not important, right? But sacrifice only matters if it makes sense and if it's moving you closer towards that. The other thing is that discipline is something that we do not have an abundant amount of. And when you want to be more efficient and you want to be consistent, you can't have that consistency if you're always focused on the discipline instead of creating the habits that are going to get you there. Give you a perfect example. If you know that you want to have good dental hygiene, you need to have a good dental regimen, right? But discipline is not required as much as having a good habit. If you have the habit of brushing your teeth after every meal, flossing every night before you go to bed, chances are you're going to have pretty good dental hygiene. If you regularly schedule appointments with the dentist and things of that nature, you're going to be okay. But if you're not, more discipline won't help you, right? Because you can be extremely disciplined and punishing yourself because you're not brushing your teeth or you're not taking care of your dental hygiene. It's not going to be effective. This also goes true in business. Very often what we do is we say, I've got to work harder. I've got to be more disciplined on this thing. We're actually beating ourselves up, and we're turning our job, our business, into a punishment to accomplish a goal, instead of creating the habits personally where we can make it effortless and easy to do that. Understanding where you need to apply those habits and how to install those habits into your life, into your team, into your regimen is extremely effective, because now it's requiring less effort. You're actually making more momentum faster and faster. All right. Drop a comment in the link below if you're watching this on Facebook or LinkedIn or even on YouTube. Drop a comment and let me know what you're discovering from this and if this applies to you as well. Number 5 is, I skipped one. Did I hit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? I'm sorry, I have my list down here and I wanted to make sure I was on target. But here's another one. When we don't have it as a mission, so it's a goal, but it's not a mission. In other words, it's something I want to hit, but it is not mission oriented, right? And this kind of ties back into having a deeper why, right? But if there's not a mission that you're out to create something more powerful or impactful, there's not something that you want to do. So if the goal is not tied to a certain outcome, a mission that you have that is effective, it could be something like when you think about Tom's Shoes, when they created their product, right? Their goal was to help children get more shoes. And so everything they're doing, raising sales, doing better marketing, telling their story, reaching more people, is tied to this goal, right? So it's a bigger why. But inside of that are smaller missions. We know that we want to be able to build a school. We want to be able to do this social entrepreneurship cause. We want to be able to hire more people. We want to be able to save a town, even that may be the case. Whatever it is, if it's a goal that is absent of having an actual mission, then you're going to be ineffective in being able to hit that target. All right. So number 7 is because so this is the opposite of number 3, right? So it actually make me so what I'm not when it says make me what I'm not, this one is actually about making you, not making you what you think you are, right? I don't think I made that clear, but we'll roll with it. All right. So it will not make you what you think you are. Some of us believe that we have things that we've been told or conditioned or programmed to believe about ourselves. And these things are actually not true, but we are running away from that. And so when you set up a goal as a place to run away from, you're actually running away from what's behind you and you're not running towards something. And because of what you're running away from is more clear than what you're running towards, it actually makes it more difficult, more challenging for you to be able to hit that target and hit that goal. And it's a very psychological reason, but because we are building businesses and we are trying to build things that make money, that have impact, that are scalable, etc., these are all very tangible things in our mind. But if they are not tied to a tangible goal, something that is clear for us, and it is not tied to an identity that we already have in the future versus what we have in the past, it can be very challenging for you to continue to hit your target and hit your goals. Here's number 7, which is, I think I'm not even adding right, so I'm not even sure what number I'm on. I'm number 7. So I talk a lot about your gift, right? It's not tied to, when your goal is not tied to your gift, and it's not something that is in your natural realm of superpowers. It's not in your natural zone of genius. It is extremely challenging to hit a goal when you are working against that. So let's say, for instance, that you are a visionary, but you're not an implementer, right? And so if you're not an implementer, then setting a goal that requires extreme implementation is going to be a challenge for you. It doesn't mean that you can't do it, but it's going to be harder. And so the harder that you make something, the less aligned you are with being able to bring that into existence. It's going to be harder for you to be able to knock that out. And so discovering your superpower, your zone of genius, allows you to focus on those things in which you can affect into your business, affect into the world much more easily, much more powerfully, because this is what you are tuned into. This is what naturally aligns with your gift. And so we bring forth from things that we are versus what we're not. And very often we set these goals that are arbitrary based on what we think other people are doing or what other people have or what we should be doing. In reality, you need to be understanding who you are as a leader in your own business, as the executor of the vision, but also understanding that you can bring other people in that can actually help you to be able to do that more powerfully. All right. Number 8. I love this one here. So I got this concept from my friend Nick Peterson, which talks about raising the bar versus the floor. And here's what we do. Very often what we do is we say, we raise the bar and say, this is the standard here. The goal is that I have to hit this target here. When in reality, if we were being consistent and consistently making our worst days better, right? So let's say that at the very minimum, all I need to do is to be able to hit this very bottom rung every single day, right? So like a ladder, when you're climbing a ladder, that's great. I have the board here, right? Often things what we think of is, I need to hit this top rung. I need to be able to hit this ceiling. Well, what I really need to do is I need to raise the floor. So by stepping on this ladder, one rung at a time, I'm actually raising the floor. So I'm getting closer to my goal because I focus on that. But when we focus on raising the bar, what happens is we actually undercut ourselves. We undercut our own progress, right? And let me know in the comments if this is clear to you, because when we undercut our own progress, we keep raising the bar higher and higher, but we don't have a ground to stand on, right? And so there's this gap here, and the gap actually discourages us from continuing to work harder. I'll give you an example. Let's say you have a sales team, and you say that you set a target for, you have to do 100 sales in a month, right? And so you raise the bar. But if you focus on raising the floor, let's focus on not getting on lowering the amount of people that we lose in a month, right? Let's focus on the smaller amount, the smaller thing that we can do every month. So let me focus on raising the number of calls that I make every month. And so when you focus on the number of calls, the percentage should get better because in terms of the bar, because you are focused on the right thing, the right metric. And so when we do is the thing that keeps us from being consistent enough is that when we're always focusing on raising the bar, we're looking high, and which is great. You want to be able to focus on where you want to accomplish, what you want to accomplish. But the actions require raising the floor. The actions require doing the bare minimum and raising the minimum that you're capable of. I'll give you another great example. Like when I was in COVID, putting on weight like so many of us did, and I was really out of shape. My basketball was my main thing, my main source of exercise. And so because of that, I got out of shape. And so when I started trying to do push-ups again, I could only do 10, right? And so my thing is, well, I want to be able to do 100 push-ups a day. I can't focus on hitting 100 push-ups because every time I do that, the gap between 10 and 100 is 90 push-ups, right? Here's what I did do. I raised the floor. My goal is I'm going to do a minimum of 1 push-ups every day and add another minimum to it, right? So if I get down on the floor, I'm not going to do 1 push-up. I can do 10. Now all I have to do is add 1 every day. And if I'm doing 10 consistently and adding 1 every day, I'm raising the floor. I'm raising the minimum of what I'm capable of being able to do. And so eventually I can hit 100 push-ups in a day, right? And so that's the concept that we're focusing on here. How can you help raise the minimum of what you're capable of doing versus always focusing on trying to do the maximum and failing? Because failure tears down and erodes our confidence, whereas raising the minimum raises our confidence and raises our capacity to be able to accomplish what we're out to get. All right. Number 9. This one talks about it won't make you, because hitting the goal won't make you what you already are. This one is unique because we talked about it won't make you what you're not. It won't make you what you think you are, but it also won't make you what you already are. And here's what I mean. We all are unique in our own ways, right? But sometimes what it does is it takes us away from that. And it actually strips us from our identity in terms of our tribe or our family or the case may be. You may hear this in terms of survivor's guilt. Maybe that's a better way to put it, right? Sometimes being more successful actually separates you from those that you love the most. So your family, the people that you know and you care about, they're meaningful for you. That they're meaningful to you. As you ascend higher and higher, they say it's lonely at the top. Well, there's a reason for that. It's because very few people get there. And the closer you get to the top, the lonelier it becomes. And this is why having masterminds and groups like the 7-Figure Circle, $1 Million Mastermind, my Facebook group for entrepreneurs is important, because there you have a community of people that are all striving towards a common goal. And when you can talk to people like that, you are around people like that, it helps you to be able to move forward in that direction. The challenge is that if you're doing it by yourself, which so many of us have when we're starting out, this is what we have to do. We don't know anybody else that's really doing it like that. Or we view other people that are in business as our competition instead of our collaborations. And so we're not building a tribe of other leaders and entrepreneurs. We're actually forging it our way alone. Those goals that we set in isolation and not, or in competition with other people instead of collaboration with them, instead of having other people to be able to support that. And so survivor's guilt is a real thing. It will kick in. And so you see this happen with athletes and people that maybe win the lottery, that now this money that they have, this level of success and fame, separates them from the people that they care about the most. And so having a support system of people that are secure, that are up to the same things, that have similar visions or similar levels of ambition is really, really important. Hi, Kennedy. Good Friday to you as well. Glad you could hop on here. The last thing that I want to talk about is linear versus exponential thinking. And that's because oftentimes we set goals and we think that we have to accomplish things sequentially. So I'll give you a perfect example. One thing that happens is we think of time as a straight line, right? And there's certain points on it. Here is where we want to be. This is our target, right? It looks like a happy face. I promise I'll get better at drawing, but in the meantime, here's our target. That's where we want to be. This is where we are. X marks the spot. We want to get here, but we think we have to take all these steps in order to be able to do it. That is linear thinking, right? So this is linear. Exponential thinking says what I need to do to be able to get here, and to be able to make that shift to say that instead of having to take all of these steps, how could I skip that step? So think, for instance, people think, okay, I want to work at X place because I want to have this career. And so I think I need to go to high school, go to college, get a degree, get a master's degree. I need to study for an apprenticeship for X amount of years, et cetera, to be able to do what? To be able to help people in this field. Now, if you're a doctor, that may be the steps you need to take. But let's say that you just want to, you want to be an entrepreneur, for instance. I'll just use that as an example. That you don't need the training because the training actually comes on the job. So if you want to create this thing, say that you want to create a product that does X, Y, or Z, create the product versus going to school and getting all these other steps. It doesn't mean that these steps aren't necessary, but oftentimes what we do is we turn these steps into barriers. And so we are not actually working towards this thing because all these things start to get in the way. So instead of, this is our goal, but we're setting all these other barriers in place of where we need to be. And so we need to be able to work through that. What we get to do is to think exponentially. How can I turn this one goal into a multiple of this goal? So instead of getting bogged down or worn out by taking these individual steps, I get to skip these steps in essence and do something that's actually 10 times bigger. Because I didn't have to think in this small term. Right? It kind of goes back to number one, we were thinking too small. Because we're thinking so small, we're thinking of the tiny increments that we can take or the things that are allowable for us. And I hate the word being realistic. That's just not what I want to do. I don't want to think realistic because thinking realistic is minimalizing for me, right? What I want to think is, what is the outside thing that I can do? I don't want to think about how can I buy a faster horse? How can I create an airplane? I don't want to think about how can I just get to the top of this mountain? How can I go to the moon? Because that level of thinking now helps you to understand how I can think bigger and I actually solve different problems on my way to creating this bigger thing. So these are 10 hidden reasons we don't hit our goals, right? There are more out there. Drop in the comments. Let me know what you think about what we shared here today. If it was helpful for you, if it was valuable in any way, let me know what your thoughts are. If you're watching this on Facebook or LinkedIn, love to see your comments. Drop a hashtag replay if you're watching this later on. Also, if you are watching this on YouTube, make sure you like, give us a thumbs up, subscribe as well. And if you are in any way struggling to hit some goals in your business, maybe you're between $20,000 and $50,000 a month, and you just can't seem to break that barrier to hit on your way to $100,000 or more, you should shoot us a message. Shoot me a message. Let's talk. Let's see if our program is a good fit to be able to help you to be able to break out of that, to 10x your thinking, to 10x your output, to be able to create more impact and freedom through your business and in your life. Thanks to all of you who stopped by to watch with us for even half a second. Hopefully you found something valuable for you as well. We look forward to talking to you in the next time. And as always, I'm Frederick Douglass Bussey, Icon Status, ever forward.